Hey y'all, so I'm really excited. We are here to review the first episode of The Real Housewives of New York. I'm gonna assume I'm probably like 90% sure that they're gonna just pick up from like seasons. They're not just gonna like say like, oh, New York reboot season one, but maybe they are, but I doubt it. I'm saying all that to say I don't know what season this is, but it's the first episode of the reboot, and I'm excited about it. Obviously, there have been mixed reviews, rightfully so. I would have to say, though, just to preface it, I didn't have any ties to the old New York cast. I don't even really know them well. I don't know the inner workings that well, and I don't know the dynamics that well. The only season of Real Housewives of New York that I watched was the last one when Ebony K. Williams came on, and I watched specifically because Ebony K. Williams was coming on. So the like the bulk of what I know comes from that season. And they give a lot of flashbacks in Housewives, so you get like a little pinch of the dynamics, but I don't know it all. So yeah, I wasn't really invested in that cast at all. And obviously the resulting like cancellation of it or whatever, and the no reunion that they did, and the whole reboot of it all, it didn't really affect me as much. And so I was just more so like whatever. But then when they showed the cast, I was still kind of like whatever. But then when they did the like preview or whatever, that was exciting, right? Like I'm like, okay, this is making sense. Like, we don't really know until it gets on camera. But yeah, once they put the ladies on camera and did like the sneak peek and everything, I was super excited. So, I'm here for it. And but I'm not going to discredit any arguments as it pertains to the old Real Housewives of New York because I don't know anything about that. I'm new here, so I'm going to start new, and I'm excited to do it. We start out. I really, really, really enjoyed the way that they did the intro for the ladies, basically opening it up like, well, let's talk about the ladies, and they were doing the confessionals where each housewife gave their perspective on the others, right? And they said fun things. It gives us a quick snapshot of them, and I feel like I learned a lot about them kind of right off the bat. I'm really bad with names though, so I'm not gonna be able to just kind of like spit them out right now. I'm gonna be very notes today, but yeah, like I do feel like I got a nice snapshot of all the ladies, and even like in the episode, I feel like majority of the ladies, I'm kind of getting a glimpse of like, okay, I know who that is. I know what they're gonna bring, and we got a good glimpse at like dynamics. There's already, I don't want to say a split or a divide, but the way that it was edited, you can see kind of who's closer to who already ish. Of course, that's probably going to change. It's a new group. But, I like the way that it was done. It came off really well to me. I started out by saying Brynn was a key. Like, I think that that's evident even from her tagline. Oh, I also really loved that we got taglines episode one. Like, hashtag bring back taglines in episode one. I hate now when we do Housewives and we don't get taglines until like episode 3, 4, 5. What's the reason for that? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, bring the taglines back. That's part of the intro. Like, hello. So I like that. I didn't realize what I was missing until it was gone. And now that I'm seeing it this episode, I'm like, oh, that was good. So like, I really like Brynn. I really like Brynn. I love, love, love that they started the episode out with the Brooklyn girl, because I even looked at that like, I was just kind of looking at where all of them live because I'm new to New York as well. So I was just kind of getting a lay of the land just to see where they live and see if it's going to be representative. Again, I'm new to New York, so I can't necessarily say what is representative, but just looking at where they live geographically and see what that's going to give. And I did note a while ago that only one of the ladies lived in Brooklyn. So I was like, I wonder what that's going to give. And I like that they started with her. I liked her story, her saying that, she grew up in Brooklyn and she used to walk the streets and look into these brownstones and be like, how do these people afford this? And now she has one. I loved that. And her house was beautiful. Her family was beautiful. I liked seeing her link up with Brynn, and they seemed like they were having a good time and they were kikiing, and it's a fun dynamic to see like that she has kids, and the other lady, Jess, I don't know her full name, but I have her as Jess in my notes. We're gonna work on names, I promise. Jess came over as well, and she had kids, and Brynn's like the only one without kids. So that was a fun dynamic. It gives you some, just kind of like some differences in characters there already. And it was just cool. Like, you're already getting so much of a family dynamic in the first episode, and you get to see them mix. It was just fun to already see their kids kind of hanging out and playing, and we get to see their partners. I don't know. I believe that they were all husbands, but I don't remember. So we saw a lot right away, which I really liked. Jess was a vibe as well. I do also like that we immediately jumped into, without even getting like a full casting, like, because typically we'll get, especially on Jersey, like we'll get a full cast event, and that's where the drama will kick off. I like that the drama was kicking off in these kind of separate scenes already, so everything was kind of flowing together as one. We're meeting the ladies, we're seeing the family, we're seeing their separate dynamics with each other, and then we're hearing about these beefs, right? And it's not even like a serious beef either. It's kind of something like childish, just like the old housewives kind of like groove that we like, where it's just like, oh, these ladies have all this money and their only worries can be like beefing about catty, childish stuff like cheese and like going to restaurants and which restaurant is cool. And I love that. I love the banter where they're like, well, we didn't want to go to that restaurant because it's not 2006 anymore. So like that's showing us so much character and so much of a vibe. I genuinely thought all the ladies had really, really great personalities. They were really, really good vibes. And yeah, I really liked the tempo of the episode. It was moving very swiftly, which was fine with me. I think we saw everybody's home first episode as well. Everybody had a beautiful home. It was just great to me. It really, really was. Getting into the specific of the beef, though, I don't know enough. But I will say, at first glance, I do feel like Erin, who was the blonde, and the one with the issue with Bryn, and I think is it pronounced Sae, I believe, but her issues more so with Bryn. I will say that I kind of read her, even though I thought that she was cool, she was a nice vibe. She came off to me as a little sensitive. I struggle to use that word because I know it can be used in a negative context, and there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. I'm sensitive, but a better way to say, I guess, because I think Brent said it as well. Like, Erin takes a lot of things personally. I picked up on that prior to Brent even saying it because it just didn't feel that serious. But she seemed fine. Like, she didn't seem irrational or like she was gonna drag it and make it a big deal. She didn't seem unlikable or anything like that. It just felt like she was in her feelings. So whatever. And again, rightfully so, like it is inconsiderate, that she organized this group event and then, some of the ladies had very strong opinions, adverse opinions about the restaurant and they just decided not to go. So yeah, anybody would feel some type of way about that. I don't know, it just came across in like her tone and the way that she was communicating it. I'm like, oh, she's really bothered about this, and like even when it just felt like she couldn't stop talking about it. Like she was really genuinely bothered by it. And even when they got to Jenna's house, which is like, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to watch this season and see this lady's house this often because it was beautiful. Like just the vibe of it, I'm like, oh my God, like I need that. Like that needs to be my life. When Bren was explaining it and she's like, this couldn't be anybody. Was it Bren? No. When Erin was explaining it and she's like, I'm a realtor. Was it Erin? Was Erin a realtor? I think it was Erin. And she's like, nobody else could live here but Jenna. And I'm like, and me. Like the vibe there was amazing. The room, the closet, it was the kitchen. I didn't care for the pink couches, but it wasn't ugly, it just wasn't my jam. But yeah, it was I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to watch this. And yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so even when they got to Jenna's house, like Aaron was talking about it again with the ladies because Bren was the last one to show up. And, even to the point where, like, Bren had finally got there, I guess. And, like, Aaron's like, oh, is she here? It's just like, girl, like, chill out. Like, it's really just not that big of a deal. Like, that was kind of off-putting to me. Even when she was just like, I'm put off on. Like, I'm not upset with her, but I'm put off of her for right now. I'm like, it's just not that deep at the end of the day. But that's the housewives banter that we're looking for, the petty beefs. It was a good way to open up the season. I like that they had the group event. It felt so fun. They played a little game. Again, like I said, I feel like we got great dynamics off the bat and we learned a lot about their personalities. Like the time was shared very well in this episode for these ladies. And I learned enough. And I learned enough to think that I enjoy all of them. And I think that it was great casting. And I think it'll be a fun dynamic. I was kind of turned off by the fact that, rich people do different things. So like one of my biggest thing is like watching these shows, and it seems like a trend where like rich people will go like in people's homes and like have, keep their shoes on, which is first of all something that I just don't do. But they keep their shoes on. They also put their shoes on like the furniture, like couches and beds. That drives me insane. And so, like, the only big thing that I wrote notes on towards the end was like, obviously, Aaron and Bryn have to go have this conversation about their miscommunication about the cheese issue and then about the restaurant thing. And, they choose to go talk about it in another room, but that other room ends up being, and again, it's a New York place, so who knows how big it is, but there was two chairs that I noted in the closet that they could have sat in, which is still a little bit personal. But of all places, they choose to go lay in her bed, fully clothed with shoes on, to have a conversation. I'm just like, that's so inappropriate. Like, I would hate that. Like, get out of my bed. And then even after that, they're in her closet trying on her clothes and trying on her shoes. And I'm just like, cringe, cringe, cringe. I hated that. But I'm like, okay, I guess. Jenna didn't seem to like it too much either. She seems kind of very type A. Again, I don't know enough, but she seems kind of very type A. So I don't think she enjoyed it either, but I think she was keeping it cute because she was hosting and this is episode one. But I would have had to be like, don't do that or that or that. Like, don't do that. But, whatever. I know there's not a lot of specifics in this. There was a lot going on. But for me, it was just a big introduction. And I don't feel like I need to get into the cheese and restaurant reservation storylines of them all because I don't know if they're going to come back up. In the event that they do, we'll analyze them a little bit more. But I'm just here to say I'm new here. These are new ladies. They're new here. I'm enjoying them. I don't really have any thoughts as it pertains to like a Luann or a Sonya or a Ramona. I'm not watching the Luann and Sonya show that came on after. I forgot what it's called. But again, I'm not invested. I don't really know those ladies like that. But, I'm open. If it becomes a dialogue and it makes sense and they're like, well, the show is missing this as compared to the old Roni, I'm completely open to that. And I would love to dive into it. But I haven't seen that yet. And I think that this is a really good cast. In terms of representation, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely way more diverse than it used to be, of course. But in terms of representation, I don't know yet if they've covered all the bases. I don't know if you can cover all the bases in one single Housewives cast of 5 or 6. But I think that it was good. I think that they're doing a good job. It was entertaining. I'm excited to watch. I wasn't bored at all. Didn't find myself really looking down like, what the heck are we talking about here? So I'm excited to watch the show. I really am. I'm excited to review it. And I'm excited to see what happens this season. So we will see what happens. And I will see y'all in the next one.